That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept asking myself the same question over and over. How did helping turn into fear? I replayed every decision in my head, every excuse I made for her, every red flag I ignored, every time I chose peace for her over peace for my own family. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't a sudden problem. This was a pattern that had been protected for years by silence, by guilt, and by the idea that family should never be challenged. Never imagined that helping my own sister would turn into the most stressful and painful chapter of my adult life. I'm a 36-year-old man living in Ohio. I'm married, and my wife and I have one 6-year-old daughter. We're not rich, but we're stable. We worked hard, saved carefully, and bought our home 5 years ago. It's the first place that ever truly felt like home to me. My older sister Laura is 39. Growing up, Laura was always dramatic, emotional, and impulsive. She jumped from relationship to relationship, job to job, and somehow always landed back on family for help. My parents supported her constantly. I stayed quiet, focused on my own life, and promised myself I would be different. But family has a way of pulling you back in. The call that changed everything about 8 months ago, I got a call from Laura late at night. She was crying uncontrollably. Between sobs, she told me her husband had left her, the landlord was evicting her, and she had nowhere to go with her 2 kids. My parents were already overwhelmed with health issues, and she said she didn't want to burden them. She said, "You're my last option. I swear I'll only stay a little while." I looked at my wife. She was hesitant, but she has a good heart. We talked privately and agreed to help, temporarily. We told Laura she could stay 3 months maximum, rent-free, but she had to actively look for a job and plan her next move. She promised everything we wanted to hear. And that's where our mistake began. The first few weeks. At first, it felt like the right decision. The kids settled in quickly. Laura thanked us constantly. She cried and hugged my wife. She said things like, "I don't know what I'd do without you." But slowly, subtle things started to feel off. Laura slept late every day. She stayed on her phone for hours. Job applications turned into, "I'll apply tomorrow." Tomorrow turned into next week. Still, we stayed patient. We told ourselves, she's been through a lot. The house starts to change. About a month in, Laura began acting comfortable, too comfortable. She rearranged the kitchen without asking. She let her kids scribble on walls because they're expressing themselves. She criticized how my wife disciplined our daughter. She started using our car without permission. One afternoon, my wife pulled me aside and whispered, "I feel like a guest in my own house." That sentence hit me hard. Crossing boundaries. Things escalated quickly after that. Laura started inviting friends over. She held small get-togethers without telling us. She complained about our rules being too strict. One night she told my daughter, "Your parents worry too much. I'd let you do whatever you want." I corrected her immediately. She rolled her eyes. That was the first time she openly disrespected us in front of our child. The manipulation begins. Soon after, my parents started calling. My mom asked why Laura sounded so stressed living with us. My dad asked if we were being too hard on her. That's when I realized Laura had been telling her own version of the story. She told them, we were controlling, we were pressuring her, we were threatening to kick her out. None of it was true. But suddenly, We were the villains. The 3-month deadline. When the 3-month mark approached, I reminded Laura of our agreement. She laughed. She said, "You didn't think I was serious about that, did you?" I told her we were very serious. Her expression changed instantly. She accused us of abandoning her. She said family doesn't put timelines on help. She said her kids were attached to our daughter now. Guilt flooded the room, but my wife stood firm. She said, "We can help you plan, but you can't stay forever." Laura stormed off and slammed her bedroom door. The breaking point. 2 weeks later, everything exploded. I came home early from work and noticed our front door lock had been changed. I was confused. Inside, Laura was sitting at the table, calm as ever. She said, "I had a friend change the locks. It's safer for the kids." I felt my stomach drop. She changed my house locks without permission. I told her that was unacceptable and illegal. She crossed her arms and said, "I live here too." That sentence still gives me chills. The ultimatum. That night, my wife and I had a serious conversation. She was shaking. She said she didn't feel safe. She said the house no longer felt like ours. She said if this continued, she would take our daughter and stay with her parents. That was it. The next morning, I told Laura she had 1 week to leave. Not a discussion, not a negotiation. She screamed, she cried, she called me heartless. Then she did something I never expected. The betrayal. Laura posted on social media. She claimed, "We kicked her and her kids out. We were abusive. We cared more about money than family." People commented with sympathy. Some relatives messaged me in anger. Others stopped speaking to us completely. Our names were dragged through the mud. And Laura? She acted like the victim, standing our ground. Despite the pressure, we didn't back down. We helped her find a short-term rental. We paid for the first month. We even helped move her things. But she left without saying goodbye. No thank you. No apology. Just silence. After she left, the house felt empty, but peaceful. My daughter slept better. My wife smiled again. The tension vanished. Weeks later, the truth slowly came out. Laura repeated the same behavior at her new place. She fought with the landlord. She argued with neighbors. She demanded more help. People began to see the pattern. The realization. My parents eventually apologized. They admitted they had enabled her for years. They admitted they expected me to handle her because I was more stable. That hurt, but it also gave me clarity. What I learned: helping family does not mean losing yourself. Boundaries are not cruelty. Kindness should never come with fear. I don't regret helping my sister. I regret ignoring the red flags. Final thoughts. If you're reading this and facing a similar situation, please hear this. You can love someone and still say no. You can help without sacrificing your home. And you are not a bad person for protecting your peace. Sometimes, the hardest lesson isn't about strangers, it's about family. Before I start, let me say this. I never thought the person who would make my home feel unsafe would be my own sister. People always say, family comes first. But nobody tells you what to do when protecting your family means standing against your own blood. This isn't a story about hate. It's a story about boundaries, guilt, and the moment I realized that love without limits can destroy everything you worked for. Looking back now, I understand something most people learn too late. The people who benefit most from your lack of boundaries will be the ones who fight the hardest when you finally set them. Peace doesn't come from pleasing everyone. It comes from choosing what you're willing to lose and what you're no longer willing to sacrifice. If this story helped you see your own situation more clearly, or if you're struggling with family pressure right now, remember this: you don't owe your future to someone else's poor choices. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, share this, subscribe, and stay safe. Because sometimes the hardest battles aren't outside your home, they're inside it.